Good morning and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, Saxe, this January 17, 2021. Let's take a deep breath together and prepare ourselves for service. Inhale deeply, hold it at the top, exhale. Inhale again, holding it at the top, filling the lungs completely. Exhale, letting out all the air, relaxing the body, the mind. Open your heart. Start to let go of all distractions. Letting go of needs and desires, obligations, responsibilities, the facade that we sometimes wear, the roles that we play. Release it all. Find that anchor you have within you that is holy ground. That place within you that is not physical, but is that space where your awareness of the divine is heightened. That place from which all things are known. All things are created, where all intelligence originates. Just let yourself fall down into that space. All that matters, all that is God. God is present in all things, expresses through each of us, comes alive in our thoughts, words, and deeds. Here is the wellspring of love and peace, harmony, prosperity. Just breathe in, relaxing into it, claiming it, embracing it, knowing this space. Knowing that this peace within you can be accessed at any time. That this space can be the vibration from which you live. And so we stay here, knowing it is our true grounding, the root of our soul. And from this space of power and strength and harmony, we now sing our centering song, Spirit's Prayer.
Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. my divinity. As within, so without, all I need is here and now. Where there's air, let me love. May I have no fear. All the power, all the glory, I surrender, let it be. Loving Spirit dwells in me, now and evermore.
And now, in a spirit of unconditional love, we now bless the children of the world. Together, children of light, we see you guided and directed by an inward spirit that leads you into the path that is right for you. We see you strong and whole. We see you blessed and prospered. We see you courageous and confident. We see you as the spiritually perfect beings you truly are. Children of light, we bless you. Our inspiration moment for today is from Unity's Daily Word, and the word is dream. Some of the most audacious, bold, history-making events began as dreams, born in the imaginations of those who understood the promise and potential of humanity and worked to realize their vision. Even if my dreams do not change the world, they have the power to change my life. Today, I remember those whose dreams were fueled by their hard work, faith, and determination. I look to their example when my dreams feel far away and I'm running low on hope. I rekindle my dreams through imagination, which keeps them vivid. My strength helps me remain committed to the realization, and my zeal renews my enthusiasm to work towards creating the life and the world of my dreams. Your sons and daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. That's from Joel chapter 2, verse 28. Let's recite together 3 times our affirmation. Together. I turn my dreams into reality. I turn my dreams into reality. I turn my dreams into reality. And we always dream of having Raheem back with us.
Dream. It's a good dream for me too. Well, I wrote a pretty heavy song a few months ago. I'd like to play it. It does end on an upward trajectory, though, so just bear with me. I think it's important, though, to express these things. I want to hurt you, twist your arm as you do as I say. I may just kill you, even if you try to obey. You see those folks over there say you're up to no good because you're here and wearing a hood, and you have dark skin, feeding into the suspicion. We met in Trinidad. Iron shackles were the bracelets you had, or was it Birmingham? My dogs bit your outreached hands. When are we gonna say enough's enough? When are we gonna say no more? When are we gonna finally walk through that door? When are we gonna say enough's enough? When are we gonna say no more? When are we gonna finally walk through that door? Today, we will walk through that door. Today, we will walk through that door.
Good morning. So, a local artist that I know, I was talking with her. I went to her house one day and I saw her works of art that she was working on and some that she had finished. And I asked her about her process. And I thought that when she started a painting that she knew what that painting was going to look like. And she said, no, it's never that way. That she just always has a blank canvas and it's on an easel before her and something comes through her seemingly out of nothingness onto the canvas. and that she never, ever knows what it's going to look like in the beginning. Sometimes in the middle, she doesn't know what it's going to be. She may start to see things unfolding on the canvas. She may have a feeling about it, but she doesn't know sometimes in the middle where it's even going to end or when she's done. And she had some pieces around the room that looked to me as if they were finished, and she said, no, they're not complete yet. And she said, I don't have the information yet, or it hasn't come through me. Whatever's supposed to go on that canvas from here, I'm not aware of. I just know it's not complete. And so I never forgot that. That was several years ago, at least 7 or 8 years ago that she told me that. And I've held on to that because her process is to let go and be in the void, to be in the void and trust that something's going to unfold through her and end up on a canvas, and that it progresses quietly, in its own time, and from my sights, magnificently. Magnificently. So it's interesting to me that a plain white canvas can end up being something saturated with color and tones and feeling and texture sometimes, and it unfolds on its own. I think it was Michelangelo who also said that when he carved something, that it unfolded through, that he just would let it out of the stone, that he would have a chunk of stone and he would just chip away whatever was inside waiting to be unfolded. That he too did not know what the stone was supposed to be. He would just chip away at it and it would come to him. It would come to him. I think about how life starts, and that you have an egg and a sperm come together, and the very root of a cell is a void, is nothingness, and yet each of us comes from nothingness. And we end up being these beings, skin and bone and muscle, tendons, ligaments, teeth, hair. And we have this personality that lives within this spirit, this soul that unfolds out of this, what in the beginning was just 2 cells coming together, apparently randomly, and maybe not, and maybe not. Before the world existed, there was just the Word, and the Word was made flesh, seemingly out of nothingness. Seemingly out of nothingness. When we meditate, we let go of the world around us and go into nothingness. We let go of our thoughts. We try to let go of our thoughts, and we just become observer. And we get quiet, and we let go of our, like I talked about at the beginning, of our roles and our obligations and our needs and our wants. And we sit in the quiet, in the void, and we wait. And we sit, and we're just there in that void, in the root, of the root of our soul. And from there, I have learned, and each of you, I think, have learned in our meditation practices, that from there all things spring. I've said before that everything that exists in this world first was an idea, came from seemingly nothing, came from out of the void, came from pure potentiality. And where we find our peace is to return to that void, to that space where everything else is somewhere else. Somewhere else. There is no space and time in spirit, so there is no way to measure that distance about where somewhere is and something else is. But from that nothingness, from that letting go of ourselves, of all the things that we gather to ourselves, the things we have on, the accessories, the clothes we wear, the way we do our hair, the things that we say about ourselves, the things we accumulate in our homes that seemingly define us. And actually, a lot of us define ourselves from our stuff. And yet, at the root of everything, there is the void, the quietness, the silence, the pure potentiality again. Many of us who have taken time to declutter know the freedom we feel when we've cleared space, physically have cleared space, and then we feel something loose within us that has more space. Even though we're not the garage and the garage is not us. We're not the stuff and the stuff is not us. Somehow we feel a freedom inside of us when we let go of possessions. When we let go of attachments, because most of the time we've attached some feeling, some meaning to the stuff, to the matter that doesn't really matter. We have attachments to things. We have attachments to each other. We have attachments to what we tell ourselves, to what we've learned about ourselves, to what we perceive about the world. We have attachments to all of that. And then we end up suffering because something starts to violate or get in the way of that attachment. And we find peace again when we learn to let go of the attachment. Perhaps grief is that. Perhaps. Grief is that. An attachment to what was, to who was, to everything that we attached to that person, the memories, the feelings, the affirmation that we got from them, from their place in our world, their physicalness in our space. And then all of a sudden it's not there. And we're back. We feel that void, right? We feel that void. And we can't quite find our place in it. The void. We're not always comfortable in the openness, in the space of life, in the true space, not the physical space, the inner space. And yet it's that inner space that gives life to everything and probably gives us the true meaning, the true essence of life itself. You know, I think of being a vessel, and that's what I aim to be when I come here every Sunday, and there's something that has to move through me to you, to your ears, and I just open up. And vessels contain something, or there's something that can be poured into a vessel. And then it contains it for a time until it pours it out. until it's poured out. And if we were all vessels, all channels for what could come through this void, this soul, this root of our souls, we would live differently. I was reminded early this morning as I was thinking about this talk and the words that were starting to be made known to me and the talk that was just kind of forming, like the artist was telling me. I start with a blank canvas and I don't know what the words are until the words come, and then I wait for them to keep coming, and then I know when it's complete because there are no more words, because I'm always listening. But a song came, that song, "Make me a channel of your peace." Make me a channel of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow your love. Where there's injury, pardon. And we open up to something else. We create a void. We get rid of the hatred. We get rid of the injury. We let go of it. And then something else can pour through us into the world, into ourselves. We go back to nothing so that we can have something that matters, that is not matter, because the matter doesn't matter. What really matters is the stuff that's not matter, the nothingness. I think the truest, the most important adventure of our lives is that inner adventure where we go into the void, where we go into the nothingness to find everything, to experience everything, a totality, experience God, experience ourselves at the root of ourselves, rather than all this outer stuff. When I find Kim at the root of Kim, who's not all of this of Kim, and the way that I show up physically is different than the Kim that wants to wear a particular color, or it's a different dimension of her. And probably at the root of myself, I'm not a her. I am just energy through which God pours every moment, through which Spirit is crying to open up something for the world. Just this thing about being a vessel or a channel is fascinating to me, that we can go into nothing, cling to nothing, and find the bounty of life. That's where the presence is. The presence with a capital P. That is God, that is us, that expresses as us. You know, when there's a forest fire, it looks like everything's decimated or destroyed. But actually, it activates life in the forest. That there are nutrients and things within living things that are released into the soil as a result of fire. And other things can grow up more healthfully, more vibrantly than they were before. When logs and trees get hollowed out because of the fire, it creates space for animals. So they find that after a forest fire, there's more life that will teem in that area and will grow in that area after the fire because space has been made. More sunlight can get down to the ground and sprout more life because the underbrush has been burned away. It has been decluttered naturally by nature. It's just an amazing process. But most of us consider forest fires a terrible thing. Well, Smokey the Bear said they were bad. But actually, it just brings an opportunity for creation in life. Something happening underground. Something's always happening underground. Like when things go dormant in the winter, when nature goes dormant, much of nature. And we lament that things aren't green anymore for a time. But actually, there's life teeming underneath. Things are happening in what we see as a void. And actually, in the roots of things underground, there's so much more happening than there is above ground. What we see is the tip of the iceberg. All the activity, all the stuff that's hidden is vibrantly active. Vibrantly active. The return to nothingness. Most of us don't want to go there, and yet there is the root of life. When things burn down, when we allow things to burn down in our lives so that we can get back to the root of things, get back to creation, that's where magic happens. So many people are afraid of the quiet, afraid of that space within us. Because we don't know what's sitting in there. Everything is sitting in there. Everything is waiting for us to access it in that quiet, in that void. When you lose all sense of self, the bonds of 1,000 chains will vanish. Lose yourself completely. Return to the root of yourself, of your soul. That's one of Rumi's verses. Be an empty page, untouched by words, says Rumi. When we lose ourselves, our sense of ourself, and who and what we think we are. This outer stuff, the matter that doesn't matter. We can truly find who and what we are. That divine spark, that pure potentiality. The thing that exists before the acorn, which gives rise to a mighty oak. That's the real stuff. The real stuff. And so our challenge is to go into the void, even when it's uncomfortable. Stay in the quiet. To face what's in there. To be what's in there. To be the emotion. To be the channel. To be the vessel through which the emotion can flow. So that you can break those bonds of the chains and find the root of who you are and find and exist in that peace and then let whatever comes through that into the world, through you, into you. Let it feed you and nurture you. Run into the nothingness. Shed all that you gather around you. What would it be like if we let it all go? If we said that it doesn't matter? That all that I want and need is what's inside me. And from that, let creation unfold. Start with a blank canvas. Go back to the blank canvas that you were as pure potentiality, probably when the first word was made flesh. Scientists believe that we're always creating, that the world, the universe is still evolving. We're still creating. That things are still happening, that earth is still not, it's not fixed and will never be fixed. It'll never be done. Because the nature of creation is to keep creating. The nature of God is to keep creating. And that means our nature is to keep creating. To keep creating. To keep going to the void. Keep going to the nothing to find everything. To find all that matters. That is not matter. What if we were the vessel? Could you be willing to wake up in the morning and say, I am a blank canvas. Paint me. And unfold as artwork in the world. Unfold as a piece of music. Unfold as a symphony in the world. Unfold as a fire, as a forest that gets burned down and then gets recreated as something new. Are you willing to clear the underbrush away so that the sun can come down and light it up and nourish it so it can be stronger than it was ever before? A bone that is broken and heals is stronger than it was before it was broken. So are you willing to go? Even in our meditations, sometimes we're not quite in the void because we're still thinking, we're still doing, we're still calculating. We may be calculating, wondering, how many more minutes do I have? Am I done yet? When's that timer going to go off? We're still not in the void. And it takes discipline, it takes time to be able to go in the void. We have to practice going in the void. We have to be willing every time and say yes to that blank canvas that is there. And perhaps every day we are a new song. Perhaps every day we are a new piece of art. A new story, a blank page, another chapter. What's freeing for me is knowing that. No matter how terribly, how hard, how far I drove something in the ditch, I can start over again and have a blank canvas. In fact, in this moment, I can be a hot mess, and in the next moment, stand in my magnificence because I've chosen to create something else. I went back to blank canvas. I went back to pure potentiality and said, I'm going to paint something new. I'm going to sing something new. I'm going to be a new song. I can flip that page and be a new chapter, be a new sentence. Even in the middle of a sentence, you can stop writing whatever it is you think your story is and start over to something new. I think that's why the power of release is one of my favorites. Because it enables us to break the chains, those bonds that can vanish, and give us freedom to create something new. something better and stronger, something more in tune, more in light, more in alignment with our divinity, that core of us, the root of us, which is God, which is loving space. So from nothing, we can have everything. And as we talk about abundance this year, so that we can experience more abundance, we are required first to declutter, to burn something down and go back to blank canvas, to a cleared forest floor. To turn the page. Go back to zero. And from there, let it unfold. Call forth what you want from the nothingness, from that void, from that pure potentiality, which is our root. And let it unfold. Let our lives unfold magnificently, like the magnificence you were at the beginning, and that you still are, but we forgot that we are. That we forgot that we are. Go back to the void. And bring the word in and make the word flesh. Bring it into reality. From nothing comes everything. Go back, as Rumi said, to the blank page, untouched by words. It's a choice. It's a choice. You can hold on as long as you want to. We often talk about white-knuckling it through our lives because we're just holding on to what we know, because that's what we know and what we've experienced and what we believe is ours. And yet what's truly ours, what's only ever ours, is this space, this nothingness that is God. That is this presence. It's nothing that matters. Nothing solid. The stuff before the stuff. The breath before the word. The rest before the note. The blank canvas before the stroke of the brush. That's what matters. And when all that matters is starting to get too much, go back to the void. Go back to the quiet. And unfold from there. Unfold from there. So be nowhere. Be nothing. And in that, find everything. Everything. Nothing and nowhere. Sometimes when I'm asking my husband about things, he'll say, I got nothing. And it used to just drive me crazy. Maybe I should say, wow, how wonderful. I'll let you know when that happens. Perhaps that's the affirmation of life. I got nothing. I got nothing. Sometimes I wish I were like that, where I could just say, I got nothing, because usually I just got so much. Maybe that's our next workshop. How to get nothing. How to go back to nothing. It truly is the space where creation begins. That's where we find, that's the seat of everything. Everything that is true and good and right. So yes, celebrate the day you can say, I got nothing. But your arms are out wide. Because then you know you truly have everything. Right? And everything's always working out for us. Let's take this into meditation. Let's breathe deeply. Just breathe. And as you breathe, think about the space within the space, within the space, within the space. That absolute realm from which everything springs. The root of the root of the root. That place of pure peace. That place of pure potentiality. That space that holds the essence of you. Space from which we create, that space from which we live. The space that nurtures, that is at the back of everything that is. That space that calls you to return to it time and time again. That space that is infinite. Lose yourself and find the self, the capital S self. Untouched by word, untouched by trappings, attachments, obligations, responsibilities. It just is. That place where the I am is. am that I am. I am that I am. Just let yourself bask in the nothingness. Let yourself be in it, free and unencumbered. Untethered, free, limitless, infinite. Pure intelligence with a capital I, pure wisdom, capital W, pure love, capital L, infinite abundance, capital A, infinite peace, capital P, the peace of God. Oneness. Just breathe, just be there. And now, as we prepare to return to the room, we know that this space is always here, always waiting for our awareness of it. Always waiting for us to acknowledge it. We can return to this freedom anytime, anywhere, irrespective of outer circumstances or occurrences. Return to the I am. Let's take a deep breath in together, breathing in and from that space. Exhaling into it, breathing through it, knowing that space too is a vessel, is a channel through which all things flow into your life. Breathe through it, from it. Breathe as it. It is nothing and everything at the same time. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen. So we know from this space, because all things come from the presence, there is nothing we need, for we already have everything within us. There's nothing to ask for, nothing to yearn for. You already have it. You already are it, whatever it is you seek. And so with this knowingness, we recite our celebration of giving. Together, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all the good that I am and have, all the good that I give and receive, and so it is.
Well, we're usually right on, and that first song, I think I just had to get that out of my system. Because how can you live with a song like that and not get it out? You know, it was that first song was inspired by really this last few years of just, of course, racial unrest, and then the George Floyd situation, you know, the death. And so, as a in touch, trying to be in touch writer, or just human, that just came to me. And so most songs just come to me. It's a mystery. And it goes back to what Kim is saying. I'm alone. I'm in my room, my music room, where I have a piano or two or three and a couple of guitars. And I'm alone. I'm very social because I play shows and I'm here and I'm there and I have my son and we do things. But when I write, I'm alone. And it's that space that's created. And then when I sit down, I put my hands on the piano or the guitar, and it just comes out. I don't think about it. The song I played earlier just came out. The song I'm about to play just came out, and all I know is it's a mystery. And I do believe it has something to do with exactly what you're talking. I know it has everything to do with what you're talking about. It's creating in space, and it's really making an effort to create that space, because within that space of silence and solitude, I think that's where we can be connected to the energy, to the spirit, to God, and then we do become the vessel. If we fine-tune it enough, then we can have power. So I was intending to play this song, but of course it fits. And feel free to sing along, because by now you've heard it a couple of times. And I think it says everything you just said, except with a melody. Hold space for the good things in your life. Hold space for the good things in your life. Create a pathway to your heart. Create a pathway to your heart. Receive the love that's all around. Receive the love that's all around. Hold space create, receive. Thank you.
That got me someplace. Oh, man.
Look what you done over
It's okay to cry.
It is. Thank goodness it is, because I do it a lot. So let's bless our tithes and offerings. Oh, man. We are deeply grateful for all the time, treasure, and talent that flows into this community, enabling it to grow and thrive so that we can do the work, this perfect work that we are called to do, both within these walls and in the world at large, to spread a message of peace, love, joy, and prosperity to all with open arms. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen. Oh, man. Raheem. Oh, man. Gosh. Man, where's this stuff come from? The void, the void. We do have a couple of announcements, all of which are escaping me. I first want to say, and I should have made a slide for it, and I'll put it on Facebook. God, the tears are just still coming. I am having a monthly grief support Zoom session. It's the third Tuesday of every month. Thank you, sir. Third Tuesday of every month. So, I'm sorry, Wednesday. Third Wednesday. So this Wednesday coming. And I'll put all the details because my brain's not working right now. Because this one just made me cry.
It wasn't me.
I know. I'll blame the void. So, and that'll be monthly because there's so many of us, including myself, are grieving whatever it is we are grieving in our lives. There's so much loss from whatever we experience, grief whenever there's something that occurs in our lives that we need to let go of. Those attachments I talked about, things that happen, people who die, things that we leave one thing in our lives and move on to something else. Often when we retire, we grieve something. A friendship might end, a pet dies, a friendship changes, divorce, loss of a love, whatever it is, there's a grief, and it's important that we let those emotions flow and we let them out, and that we talk about the things that we're feeling and not keeping them within us. When we let go of things, magic can happen. And the magic doesn't always feel good, and it doesn't always look good, and it can be messy, but it's incumbent upon us to be together and to share those things together in community. So I'll have all the details out on Facebook, and I'll start putting in our newsletter. I'll have a newsletter out in the next day or two anyway, so that you can have the link to our book study, which starts this Tuesday evening and continues for the next 6 weeks. We are working on the Book of Joy. I'm sorry, Quentin, I'm like all over the place. If we could go to that. So the Book of Joy, we're starting that this Tuesday the 19th, and we'll go for 6 weeks, 6:30 to 8 o'clock on Zoom. So you'll have that link again, and you don't have to go looking for the prior newsletter. Okay? The book is wonderful. It's really, and the book actually does deal with grief on some level as well. because it is possible to find joy within the grief. And as we grieve, it's possible to have joy as well. So tune in for that. We're going to have great discussions and learn a lot and experience a lot together. I think that's it. Fred, did you have anything today? No, you're good.
We're going to lift people up in prayer.
Thank you very much. That's why we need each other, so that we can remember what's supposed to happen and who and what we are. So let's lift names in prayer of things. So we want to pray for Jan
Jerry,
and Jerry
Dorothy,
and Dorothy.
Beverly.
Beverly, yes.
And I would like to say a prayer for a good friend of my son that just passed away yesterday. His name is Bo Bailey.
Okay.
Kid I used to play golf with, and my son used to play golf with and everything. Very beautiful. 30-year-old.
Young. For Heather Carlisle and her family.
Our son is a nurse at the hospital. He's in,
San Jose.
yeah, and he tested positive. He's not doing well, and so is his wife. So please pray for our son Michael.
For Michael.
Please.
For Melissa and family. For Lola. For Katie. Her mother just passed. Katie Elliott. Yeah.
For Carolyn, my friend Carolyn.
Carolyn.
You know, even though all the odds were being against him for 9 months, we're grateful that, you know, this time he's been okay until now. So we're hoping that, you know, that it doesn't get to a point where he has to be hospitalized.
So for all these souls that we have named, and all those who are unnamed in this moment, but who live in our hearts and in our thoughts, we know that their highest and best is now at work. And they too are a part and an integral part of this divine presence that expresses through them and as them. And so we hold their highest and best, knowing that as we stand in our power and strength and affirm this for them, that yes, a good work is done in whatever way that is to be done. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen. And now we have our prayer for protection. Let's recite together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And we'll have our affirmations, and then Raheem's going to sing us one more song before we go. Together, we are Unity Spiritual Center, Saxe.
We are a thriving global
Spiritual seekers, transforming lives through love and the expression of our innately divine gifts. Our mission is to inspire spiritual and personal growth through the teaching and demonstration of unity principles towards the realization of living our best lives. Divine wisdom is at work in every area of our lives right now. Divine wisdom is opening ways where to our human sense there is no way. Everything is always working out for me.
I love it. We recently were in Colorado, and the mantra of the whole trip was like, what was our mantra? It was kind of like, everything works out for us. And then it couldn't be better. It's as good as it gets. This is as good as it gets. Everywhere we were, it's like, this is as good as it gets. Everything works out for us. So, yeah. Wait, how about this?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just teasing you right now because, let's see. Hey kids, shake it loose together, darling, and I'm out about it, by the weather. We'll kill the fatted calf tonight, so stick around. We're gonna hear electric music, very solid walls of sound. You ready? Hey, Candy and Ronnie, have you seen them yet? Ooh, they're so spaced out. But Benny and the Jets. Ah, they're weird and they're wonderful. Oh, Benny, she's a really keen. She's got electric boots, a Moe suit. You know I read it in a magazine. But Benny and the Jets. Here we go. Okay, that was just a little warm up. All right, for this. You are the sun that shines so bright above. Please never go out for too long. Your rain on my face, your drops are so delightful. Oh, please wash away my lost races and just in cases. Oh, I never knew that when I was alone, you were alone too. Love, don't be shy with me, my friend. I sensed you all along. Oh, please say to me, I'll be staying night and daying, softly waking with you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Before we go, I want to read you a note that we got from Catherine Erickson, who was with us last Sunday and gave the message. She said, Kim, thank you for the honor to speak to your congregation. The warm and welcoming reception I received was deeply gratifying and empowering. Unity Church of Saxe is a gracious community of believers who live their faith. I was humbled to share the morning worship time with you. Blessings, Catherine. Yeah, she was wonderful. So she will be back with us. So thank you very much for spending your Sunday with us. Have a wonderful, wonderful day and a blessed week. Namaste.